that time again. It's time for Diary of a Physicist Farm Gal. My name is Deborah, and I'm coming to you from here on my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry, I do needlework. I'll try any craft once and twice if I like it. I am also a university professor where I teach courses in physics and astronomy to general education people, to physics majors. I am a docent at our planetarium, and I'm also very involved with our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Academic Leadership. And last but not least, I am a farmer. I am a third generation family farmer here on this land where my family has lived for over a century. I raise grass-fed beef cattle. I raise horses. I no longer have my birds at the moment, but I do still have Penny the pot-bellied pig. I don't have the rabbits anymore, but I've got the retirement herd of miniature horses, miniature donkeys, and a miniature mule named Pumpkin who thinks she rules the roost. And as you can tell from today's co-host, Baxter, I am fur kid mom to several dogs and cats, including an outside clouder of barn cats. So if any of all of that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll come on along and join me for Diary of Physicist Farm Gal. And we snuck up on episode number 100 last time, so this is 101. Whee! Okay, we're going to move on and talk about social media and make-alongs. Alrighty, if you want to follow me on social media, my Ravelry name is the same as my Instagram name, is the same as my name most other places, is Doc Firewoman. There is also a Facebook group for the podcast, Diary of a Physicist Farm Gal. On Facebook, there's also a Ravelry group for the podcast. If you want to support the podcast financially to help pay for the Zoom or other things that shipping and things like that I pay for with prizes, you can do that through Ko-fi. It's certainly not expected or required in any way. I just appreciate y'all being here and dropping comments. And those of you who do support me, I appreciate that very much too, because it helps pay for the Zoom room and it helps pay when I have to mail packages. If you want to be eligible for a prize giveaway, you need to fill out my Google form. There is also a Google form for people who might be interested in a tarot workshop that I'm going to put together after I get back from Mystic South. So all of that can be found linked down below, and I will remember to put it down there for you to go and look at. So I don't think Twitter still exists anymore. I'm on that Threads thing, but I don't have time for more social media. So you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook and on Ravelry as needs be. Or you can go back and watch a bunch of videos that I have on here. I have 470 videos apparently from doing all the vlogs and such as that on here. Speaking of vlogs, Mystic South is coming up this week. Yay! So Mystic South is sort of my home conference. It is a big pagan metaphysical conference in Atlanta, Georgia. It's been going on since 2017. The organizers are all friends of mine. It is where I got my book deal last year. It is sort of my witchy family reunion. And I am very excited. Joel got in as a vendor to go. So they actually got in at 2 different fairs. So Rachel is going to go to Oklahoma City to see one of her partners, and Joel is coming with me. And we're going to have make a big trip out of it. We're going to take our time driving out there. We're going to take our time driving back. And it should be a great time for all of us. And we're going to vlog it. So I'm planning on vlogging the entire trip and all the things that'll go on at Mystic South. I am going to be reading tarot there this year. I'm going to be reading publicly for the first time in a long, long time. I already have all my spots sold except 2 because we're pre-selling our spots for tarot readings. I'm also helping with the opening ritual, so I'm very excited to be a part of all of that this year at Mystic South, and of course get to see all my friends and all the amazing vendors and all the amazing classes. And I'm just this year is going to be extra special, I think, and so I'm very excited to get to go. So watch out for that coming up. So so that's pretty well what I got to say about social media and stuff. I don't have a giveaway again this time because I wasn't prepared, and I just wanted to get this video done and pushed out. So I apologize for that. But maybe I'll find something cool at Mystic South and bring it, and we'll give it away next time. So, yeah, so we're going to move on. And I have a couple of finished objects, or 3 finished objects to talk about. 2 of them I have in pictures, and 1 I have in live personal. Well, I got a lot of finished objects, but most of them are witchy things that I'm taking to Mystic South, but I'll talk about those too. Shut up, Deborah, and move on. Finished objects. Okay, so in finished objects, I have a potpourri of things to talk about. The first thing that I will talk about, though, is my knitted finished object that I finished. I completed my Kelvin Hall shawl. I finished it last night, bound off. I haven't woven in the ends yet. But my Kelvin Hall shawl, this is a pattern by Kirsty from Grenade Creations, and we together had been hosting a cowl for this. I don't even remember what the dates were. But at any rate, this is an unusually shaped, it's a deep V shape, and I like it because there's not a lot of bulk around your neck, but you still get the wraparound effect of this from this shawl. Now, you can do this in a DK weight or a fingering weight. I opted for the fingering weight. I was going to use up all my yarn, and frankly, I was just done knitting on it. I was ready to be done. So I have a little bit of yarn left, so I'll put this aside to use in a scrappy project of some kind. But this yarn is from the former Leon Alexander, Logan. He's not dyeing yarn at present, but this was some of his beautiful multicolored yarn. It does have some stellina in it, so it does have a sparkle, and this colorway was called Loki, and this is some of the very first yarn I ever bought from him when I met him at the Twisted Pearl in Conway back in 2018. So shout out to Logan. But I've still got my ends to weave in here. I like this shawl because it gives you the option of knitting both the arms at the same time or one at a time. I opted for both of them at the same time so that my tension would be relatively even. But it is literally just a big V shape, right? It's just a big V, and that cuts down on some of the bulk that you get from other shapes, which I like that design. And it's a great social knitting project because it is very easy to remember. The only thing that I would caution if you decide to knit it, don't stop. If you're doing both the arms at the same time, do not stop in the middle. Because if you stop in the middle, you won't know which way you were going if you're like me. So don't do that. Okay, I do have other finished objects. First thing I'll talk about is my dress. I'll put a picture of it right here. I made myself the Holyoke maxi dress from Cashmerette Patterns. The reason I like the Holyoke is it has bust adjustments for different size busts. And because I am a larger busted woman, that helps me get it fitting correctly. I've already made this dress once, but I learned some things from making it once, so I've made it again. The fabric is actually, I think it was a duvet cover that my friend Gina, Mama Gina, who is a pagan musician, found at a thrift store. It is wonderfully soft. It is beautiful blue. It is perfect. And I worked really hard to do pattern matching on it. It was a little bit difficult in some spots, but overall I'm pleased with the effect of it. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I made the size 22 in the bust with the large cup adjustment, and then went down to the size 16, 18 in the waist to get it fitting correctly. And I'm very pleased with how it fits. I did not put in actual buttonholes. I just sewed the buttons on and sewed the plackets closed all the way down, but it fits. The way it's made, it's very easy to pull on and off. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. And that is going to be the dress I wear to do my presentation at Mystic South. So yay. Okay, the next thing that I made is going to be part of Joel's birthday gift. Now, he doesn't watch my podcast so far as I know. And so his birthday is coming up this Friday. I just had a birthday last Sunday, so a week ago today was my birthday. Got a lot of big Cancer energy going on around here. But his birthday is coming up, and it's going to be the first day of Mystic South, and I wanted to make him something. I bought him a couple of other things. I bought him a riding helmet, which is sitting right here when the cat is laying on the box. But I wanted to make him something, and one of the animals that he resonates with is a lion. So many years ago, I had bought a set of patterns from the quilting shop, Patchwork Place, that was next to where I used to live in Norman, and they're called Rumple Quilt Skins, and they are stuffed animals made with quilting techniques. The lion has free motion quilting on him, And so I made Joel this lion. It's batik fabric, and it you make it in pieces and then sew it together. So there is a little bit of fussiness to it, but it is a lot of fun. Most of it is machine sewn until you have to sew up his belly, and then when you sew on his mane, that's hand sewn. But I'm very pleased with how he turned out. The eyes are from Suncatcher Craft Eyes that I had bought 2 or 3 years ago, and I was looking through my box of eyes and I went, oh, those will be perfect. So I think they're called Autumn Sunset eyes. But anyway, so that is one part of Joel's birthday. Hopefully he doesn't mind getting another toy from me after he got the dragon. So those are my 3 finished objects that I crafted. Well, that's not true. I made a whole bunch more witches hats. So I'll put a couple of pictures in here of the witches hats that I made. Again, I talked about those in the last video. I did get rid of a couple up in Eureka Springs, as I mentioned, but I wanted to make a few more to take to Mystic South because I'm really hoping that they sell in Mystic South. I know there are going to be a lot of people there, so hopefully. Then also, I helped make some wands and some rattles, and I was using bones from my animals. So these are all animals that I know. Sally and Little Miss and Charlie my bull and Friendly Cat my black cat. So if you are averse to seeing bones in things, you might look away for about 2 or 3 minutes or fast forward 2 or 3 minutes. But I use bones in my magical working, and that's part of what I do. And I feel there is something very special about giving these animals a second life and being able to tell their stories to people who might want to take their magic out into the world. So I've done I did a tarot card set of wands with some Sally bones. I made a rattle with Charlie out of Charlie bones. I made some pendants out of the black cat bones from Friendly Cat. And then I made a wand out of one of Little Miss's ribs. And that may bother people to think about that, but I feel like it is a way to honor them and let their stories carry on and do good magical work in the world. So yes, Baxter, I know you want to be loved today. So anyway, so that's what I've been working on. I've been making a lot of things, not knitting a lot, but I'm kind of back in my knitting mode, I think, now that the year has turned, right? We've had the summer solstice, and even though it's hotter and snot here, I can tell the days are starting to get a little bit shorter, and that wheel is turning back toward the fall. So I've got some things to show you in works in progress. I do have some knitting works in progress to show you. I haven't done any stitching at all in quite a while, but today, once I get done recording this and get a few other little things done around here, I'm going to pick back up on my Steady Thread Blackwork Botanical Sal this year. But what I have to show you, this is in this is an Utterly Adorable Knits bag, and this is got my popcorn and toast socks that I started back in October and I haven't touched in several months, but I did get through the heel turn on them, and now I've started up the leg, and I've put a couple of repeats on the leg. This is a pattern by Vanessa from Crafty Planty Life, okay? And it is available for free, I believe, on Ravelry. And it has a really cool texture. So these are my, I call it zebra with a sunburn socks, because what's black and white and red all over. I did try a heel flap and gusset on these as an experiment to see how I like the fit of these heels. So I've got a little ways to go, but I have made some progress on the leg. And yeah, so this is being knit with some, I think this is Regia. This is Regia yarn that I think Jessica gave this to me. I can't remember now. But at any rate, yeah, and then some scrap red to put in the contrast of the heel. So yeah, so I got those back out and reinvigorated my work on those. Then the next thing that I have put work in on is my Saturday Morning Sweater. Saturday Morning Sweater is by Tristan from Dragon Horde Yarns, and it is a big, flumpy, as I call it, wear around the house with leggings, sweater. I had completed one sleeve. Okay, this has been wadded down in a bag, as you can tell. And I have picked up and started on the second sleeve. So I had not done that when I showed this to you last. So I have picked up and started on the second sleeve. And I will do a contrast until it's about the same width as this band. And then I'll start back on the yellow. And I've got all my stitch markers here to show how I did my decreases. And yeah, and this will be just a nice big comfy cozy sweater to wear to stay warm in the winter. And if they don't get my gas hooked up, Lord, y'all, I am just gonna have to take to the bed over this. I swear it has been a saga. The gas line though is in. It is hooked up, but now we have to pressure test it. And there was a leak down here, which we had to fix because there's a cracked valve. And now there's a leak up at the pipeline area. And that's a whole other thing. And I'm fixing to be gone. And then my plumber's fixing to be gone. And every time he comes out here, I just hear cash register going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So hopefully by the time I go back to work, I'll be able to use my cook stove. If only those vile people had just let me go on their property and fix where they cut into my gas line. And it's a whole thing, and I don't want to get into it. But these people are the back end of humanity. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, back to my sweater. So here is my sweater. And all I have left to do is finish knitting the sleeve, and then it will be done, and I'll weave in all my ends, and I will wash it because this is acrylic yarn. This is Red Heart with Love, because sometimes you need a sweater you can throw in the washing machine when you live on a farm. And y'all are probably wondering why I got kids' doll houses. Mind your business. I'll tell you one of these days. If you've been following me for a while, you know the answer to that. It's a haunt. I'm gonna make a haunted village. But anyway, poor little doll houses are fixing to get painted black with gargoyles. But anyway, that'll be dandy, won't it? Anyway, so that's a Saturday morning sweater. Then I picked back up one of my Celtic Year Shawl Club shawls. And this one was the Yule shawl. It's called the Woods Are Lovely. All right, and I haven't made a whole lot of progress on this, but I have added 2 or 3 repeats since I last showed it to you. So I'm working on the first section of this shawl. This was by Woolly Wonka Fiber Company. I believe she's changed her name now, but this was her Nimaway sock base, and that color is just fantastic. I just love that color. So I'm working on the snowflake section, and then there's trees and there's pine cones, and soon it will be all done. But this is not a project that is a good traveling project. I might take my socks with me when we go to Mystic South, but I honestly don't know that I'm going to have all that much time to knit. I don't want to take the sweater because it's too bulky and heavy. But I will say this, space is going to be at a premium in the car because we're having to take all of the vending stuff as well. So I've really been trying to pack very carefully to make sure we maximize space. So anyway, those are my works in progress. Ooh, I'm going to tell y'all a secret. This has nothing to do with works in progress, but if you use super glue on something and you need to set it up real quick, Joel taught me this trick. Baking soda will cause it to set immediately. So if you're using super glue on something and you want it to set up super fast, sprinkle some baking soda on it. So pro tip from the wand wizard himself. Anyway, I don't have any future crafting, so we're going to move on and talk a little bit about science. There is a big science sprinkle that I want to talk about, but I'm not going to do it on this video because I haven't read up enough about it, but it's about those papers that Hank Green was talking about that came out this last week. I don't want to talk about it yet because I want to make sure I read up on it and understand for sure what we're talking about because I don't want to sound like an idiot. So, but anyway, moving on. I don't have any crafty acquisitions, so I don't have any of that either. Ooh, but I got birthday stuff. Well, we'll talk about my birthday next time too, because I'm trying to get this done, and I'm just rambling at this point. So we're going to move on and talk a little bit about what's going on campus. Okay, so, we had the Teaching Excellence Institute, and there was a person in there, and we had a great week. It was a great week, except there was a person in there who went into with the attitude of, I don't believe in the science of learning. I don't believe that they need executive functioning help. And I certainly don't believe in diversity, belonging, equity, inclusion. And she made that point quite clear to all of us every single day. And she used her religious belief to drive that home. And I'm thinking, the person that you claim to follow was a loving, kind, and accepting person when he was here on this earth. And I think he's probably not real happy with your behavior right now. By the end of the week, I was about to choose violence. But I had to just kind of take a breath and remember that it would have just proven her point if I had shined my butt. And so my friend Tane, who is a rock star, tore her down with the sweetest smile on her face and the kindest sounding voice, and told this woman that she was clearly not safe for our students and therefore did not need to have a safe space sticker on her door. And I love Tane Duncan. She's a goddess to me. But at any rate, but the rest of the week, other than that one person, was excellent. And I always learned so much in those workshops, even though I am helping to facilitate them now. We always learn so very much from them. I am just turned my grades in literally an hour ago for my summer 1 class, and I'm teaching summer 2 because we needed somebody to do it. And frankly, I could use the extra money, especially with this gas line issue. I can use the extra money. So I just turned my grades in for summer 1. My summer 2 class is all set up, and I made the first deadline after we get back from Atlanta so that I don't have a bunch of panicked students emailing me in Atlanta while I'm trying to enjoy myself. So, so we got that all done. Heard from Grace. She's doing very, very well. My department chair went up to where she's at and got to see her, and she's doing incredibly well. So that's good. So there's not a lot of, other than that, going on campus. I did do the summer Museum of Discovery's summer science camp for girls in STEM, and that was a lot of fun to get to go talk to them and to kind of tell them about how I came upon what I do with my life now. Boy, you were just not going to be denied, are you? You just are going to be up here because, Willie is asleep down here on this cushion. So you're taking advantage of that opportunity. Yes. So, but yeah, it was a good camp. Had about 25 young women in it. Got to talk to them a little bit about how I came to be Dr. Burris, and that was always nice. I'm going to talk to a group of first and second graders in a couple of weeks, so I enjoy doing that. And then we will come back. I'm teaching a new prep this fall, so I've got to start thinking about how I want to handle that. And so I'm trying to find joy in my students because there are things going on right now otherwise that I'm not real thrilled about. And someone offered me a position to move into more of an administrative role, and I turned it down, mainly because it was not compensated. It was a release time thing, and I know how that goes. So I just said no. And also, I am in a position where I can advocate and speak truth to power because I am tenured and I'm promoted, and I don't want to move into administration, so I can say what needs to be said, and other people don't feel safe saying it. And I think that that's an important voice to have in our department, especially right now. So I am going to stay there. But anyway, so that's pretty much what's going on there. So we will move on and talk about what's going on the farm. Yay. So I guess farm and kind of personal stuff too. So the farm is, we had a terrible, terrible storm a couple of weeks ago. And I was very thankful that what could have been happening didn't happen. We do have some very big trees down. There's one blocking a gate actually 2 blocking 2 different gates. It's not critical because I have other gates to access the same pastures. But we had 70 to 90 mile an hour wind gust. It was scary. It's the first time I've been really scared in a storm in a really long time. We were without power for 2 days because there was significant damage to the power lines not far from here because of all the trees that were down. It was quite something. And this is a series of storms that we've had kind of rolling through that have been very strong, unusually strong. And climate change is a thing, y'all. I'm just telling you, you can believe it or you can don't. You can think the earth is flat. You can think it's 4,000 years old, but no. Science says no. You can believe what you want, but the fact is the data says climate change is happening, and it is going to adversely impact us here in Arkansas. It's going to make our storms more severe. It's going to make our weather much more tropical, and it's going to be rough. So, that being said, we had these really bad storms. Some of my friends had some pretty significant damage on their properties. Luckily here, I did not. So, that's good. I am still working on getting together the cattle that I want to sell off. I need to sell about 20 more head of cattle to get down to the numbers that I want to get down to. I want to get down to less than 20. So I need to sell about 20 more head. I've got 4 already spoken for. I'm probably going to sell some other young ones, but I need to maybe sell some of my other ones, and that's going to be a hard decision, but it's one that has to happen. Yes, so about 20 more need to go because I want to get down to less than 20. I didn't realize I had close to 50. And, 10 years ago, that was my goal, but my priorities have changed, and I want to keep enough to be able to raise beef, but I need to get out from underneath some of this debt and responsibility that these cattle just take, and it's a lot, and I would like to not have to try to kill myself every winter to get these animals taken care of, and it's time for me to work on other things. So I'm still going to have the cattle, I'm still going to have my horses and my donkeys and my cats and my dogs and the potbelly pig, but I don't need all those cattle. And so I've got some sold to individuals. I'm hoping to sell a few more to individuals rather than at the sale barn. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have to make some tough decisions, and some of them are going to have to go to the sale barn, which I don't like, but that's what's got to happen. Anyway, so that's kind of the farm. I lost one of my apple trees in that storm, and it was so sad. My Granny Smith apple, which was huge and loaded, it broke it off at the roots. I mean, it's laying over out in the yard right now because I'm going to cut it up and let Joel have apple wood to make things out of, which it's too hot to get out there and cut anything up right now because we're running about upper 90s with a heat index in the 110 range. I am not going out with a chainsaw. I'm just not doing it. I went out and mowed the lawn, and that was the limit of my capacity. I mowed the front lawn with the bush hog and the push mower, and I mowed the back lawn with the push mower, and that is all the activity I'm going to do, as humid as it is and hot as it is outside. Yes, but I did find out something while the power was out. When I bought my generator, the gentleman I purchased it from said, "This will not run your air conditioner or your dryer." And I found out that was incorrect. I have not really had a significant power outage during the heat of the year when I needed the air conditioner. And so I just thought, well, it felt like the air was kind of cold when it was, because it stayed on while the power was out, and it kicked on. I thought, well, that feels like it's compressing. It feels like it's working. So I turned it on, and it was working. And then I thought, well, So when the air conditioner kicked off, when it got the house down to a reasonable temperature, I went and tried the dryer, and it dried my clothes. So I'm like, all this time, because I didn't try and see, I've been operating under faulty information. So yay. So yes, as I mentioned, I did have a birthday, had a great time, all over the birthday weekend. I got to go down to a tea and tarot thing that my friend Ruby had down in Little Rock on Saturday and meet some people, which was a lot of fun. Had a tattoo appointment, which was a lot of fun. Then I had, on Sunday, my friends Melissa and Tanya, we went down to the river at daylight and gathered up, so on my actual birthday, gathered up sticks and rocks and cool things for me to craft with, and for me to give Joel and Rachel to craft with. So that was a lot of fun. And then Sunday evening, my friend Chris from graduate school came through, and he's taking a big kind of grand road trip, on his own, and he was driving through, and I let him crash here, which was lovely. And then on Monday, when Joel got back from the event in Oklahoma City that he was at, he took me out for my birthday. We got to ride the motorcycle, and we went to eat and hang out and had a good time. And then Tuesday, on the 4th of July, we had a big craft-a-thon over at his house where we cooked steaks and a bunch of us got together and worked on magical tools, which was fun. And it was a great day. It was a good day. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah. So, and then they left on Thursday to go to Kansas City to an event in Kansas City. So, which is through today. So I hope it's going well. I think it is. So then we leave on Wednesday. So day after tomorrow. So today's Sunday. So we leave on Wednesday to head to Atlanta. And we're going to go via the rock shop at Wegner's. So if I'm able to get some footage of that rock shop, oh, y'all. It's like, oh, look at all the shiny, pretty things. But anyway, now another thing that did happen this week is I was able to reconnect with my nephew from another mother, Evan. Evan and I had been friends with Evan's family for quite a long time, and I had watched him grow up, and I considered him to be my nephew. And things happened, and we lost contact. I don't want to get into the personal drama that happened, but let's just say the family and I lost contact for various reasons. And when I was getting my hair done, Gabby dyed my hair this beautiful rainbow gradient. You can't see it all, but I've got a rainbow under dye in the back of my hair. I can put a picture up here. Gabrielle was telling me a little bit about him and how he had moved and how he had met someone and he was living with his boyfriend in Dover. And I was like, really? Maybe I should contact him. So I messaged him and I said, hey, I miss you. I would love to meet up for dinner. And we did. So we got all caught up. He is doing so well. He is in therapy. He is doing so well. He is living his truth. And I could not be more excited for him. And we are now reconnected again. And that meant a huge amount to me to be able to do that. So then yesterday, my barn family, even though I haven't really been around the barn very much for a couple of different reasons, but one of them is there were some very homophobic, transphobic people over there, and I was not going to subject myself to their rhetoric, but they have left. So anyway, I got to have a MASH themed birthday party. You know, as we do themed birthday parties every year. And last year at the Star Trek, when we decided to do MASH, and so we had a MASH themed birthday party, and they even went so far as to order dog tags for everybody with the correct name of their character on it. Is that the right way around, or does it need to be this way? Yeah, like that. It was great. We had so much fun, and I had a good time, and it was so fun to dress up. I was Hawkeye Pierce in the Hawaiian shirt with the martini glass, and the Groucho nose and glasses. Anyway, so it was a lot of fun, and had a great time. Next year's theme, West Wing. Yay! So yay. But it was a good time. So we did that yesterday too. So it is wonderful to be celebrated by people that love me, and that makes me feel very grateful. So anyway, so that's kind of what's going on in the farm and in the life and all of that. And so I'm going to move on and do a slightly little different reading that I found for our final thoughts this week. So I was having a conversation with somebody about jealousy, and my friend Jamie, they have a podcast called The Modern Loving Family, where they talk about being a polyamorous relationship and a queer family, raising kids in a village, basically. And they talked about jealousy, and they had a really interesting take on jealousy that really resonated with me. And it was the idea that jealousy, for some people, and it seems to for me, stems from an unmet need. So when I feel jealous about something with whoever it is, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or whatever, that is stemming from inside me as an unmet need. And so I have to examine that need and figure out what it is that's causing that. And that was really valuable to me. That really helped me get some perspective on that, and now makes it a lot easier to deal with when I have any issues like that. But I found this thing about emotions, and I thought it was an interesting take on how you can examine the root of those emotions and maybe resolve them a little more straightforwardly. So bitterness shows you where you need to heal, where you're still holding judgments on others than yourself. And I could speak to that directly as well, because I had a lot of bitterness towards my family that I've had to work through. And I still have those moments, right? I still have those moments, especially when I'm having to deal with gas line repairs and all of that. But it does help me to think about that. Resentment shows where you're living in the past and not allowing the present to be as it is. Discomfort shows that you need to pay attention right now to what is happening, because you're being given the opportunity to change, to do something different than you typically do it. Okay? And I think that's where we talk about sitting in our discomfort and examining that when we talk about things that maybe challenge our implicit biases, which we all have and which we all should work on. Anger shows what you're passionate about, where your boundaries are, and what you believe needs to change about the world, right? Disappointment shows that you have tried for something, that you did not give in to apathy, and that you still care. So that's an interesting way to spend disappointment. And so you don't live in the disappointment. You don't set up residence there. I heard somebody say that you can be sad, but just don't make it your permanent address, right? Guilt shows that you're still living life and other people's expectations of what you should do. And boy, that is a one for me that I've had to really wrestle with as things at work are changing. Shame shows that you're internalizing other people's beliefs about who you should be or who you are, and that you need to reconnect with yourself. And that is also an important one, and I think one that has benefited me a lot and made me feel a lot more comfortable in my own skin, to let go of the things in the past where I felt shame about, and because it was other people's template they've put on me. Anxiety shows that you need to wake up right now and that you need to be present, that you're stuck in the past or living in fear of the future. That is a tough one for sure, but it is one that I focus on a lot as well, especially with my Reiki work. And then sadness shows the depth of your feeling and your depth of care for others and this world. So I think that take these negative emotions, or what's considered to be negative emotions by a lot of people, and shows that they really stem from something that is either a positive, like your caring or your depth of passion or your boundaries, which if you reframe or flip the script, we talk a lot, Joel and I talk a lot about it, my friends and I talk a lot about flipping the script on something and making it work for you instead of against you. So I think that is a really useful tool, and one that I'm going to meditate on, I think, for the next little while, and see where I still carry some of these emotions and how I can flip that script to make it a more a growth experience for me rather than a stunting experience for me. So anyway, I hope you are all doing well. I hope that the summer, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, is treating you well, or the winter, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, is treating you well. I hope that you're all taking good care of yourselves. And until I see y'all again, Baxter's trying so hard to get back over here. Y'all be good to each other and take care of each other. And what, Baxter? You going to come tell them? Okay, you're going to come tell them. What are you going to tell them, Baxter? Oh. Peace out, y'all. Bye.